Okay, it says it's working now. And record. Okay, great. So we can begin. So my name is Jonathan Bethune. I'm writing a piece with Japan Today, and I'm interviewing Yoko Mada, known as Random Yoko, a YouTube video blogger and personality. I discovered Miss Mada's channel when I was writing my last piece on why Trump could be a good opportunity for Japan. And literally one of the first Google results when you type Trump Japan is this woman's video about a Japanese person supporting Trump. And I saw the video. I thought it was very interesting, a lot of fun comments, and a lot of other videos about Trump merchandise and Trump senpai. Very very fun, kind of colorful personality here. And I thought, man, I really want to learn a little more about her perspective. And now that the elections are over, I want to have a discussion today about Japanese politics. So without further ado, Miss Mada, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Tell me about your background.
Okay. I am Yoko. I live in Fukuoka Prefecture of Japan, and I was born and raised here in Fukuoka. But I've been interested in American English and American culture since I was 15 years old or so. So I've been studying English, and also recently I started to get interest in American politics. So yeah, and then I started to make videos on politics as well. So
okay, cool. That's what I wanted to ask. What made you start doing YouTube videos or political YouTube videos?
Oh, well, first of all, I started to post videos on YouTube when I was in college, and that was 2006, like very, like, I believe that YouTube was established in 2005 or so. So I was one of the first people, but at the time I was covering music. Like, I'm a huge fan of metal music. So I was covering metal, heavy metal music, like, on the keyboard, and people thought that it was fun and stuff. But and then I got interested in daily vlogs, so I was doing that. And then in 2012, I had more time for myself, and one day I was watching TV, and then I saw these Chinese people destroying, like, massively, like destroying the Japanese brands inside of China, and I didn't understand what was going on. So I asked my father, and my father turned out to be a conservative man, and I was wondering what all his books were. Like, he has tons of books inside of our house, and I was like, that's just collecting dust. He reads one and then he never reads it again, and it's like it's like piled up, and I was sick of it, and I used to tell him to throw them all away, but I realized that what he was trying to tell me all these years was actually correct. So I started to read some of, like, his books, like what seems to be easy, and then I started to realize that the world that I believed in was all a lie, like just like people say in, like, fictional, like science fiction movies,
The Matrix, coming from the Matrix,
Yeah, and so I started to be very overwhelmed, and I had to share with people, and that's why and also, I was already a YouTuber, so I started to talk about politics, and then I got interested in American politics as well, so that's how I'm here.
I saw on your channel you have a lot of videos, and the older ones are all Japanese, but more recent you have some more English videos. So I'll come back to that. I want to discuss it. Just one other question about YouTube. Are there any other YouTubers that inspired you? Any other people that you like or you follow?
Like in politics, or?
Oh, really, I guess anything in YouTube. I mean, I just wrote a piece about YouTubers in Japan, like that man Yuta and Kinoshita Yuka and Kazuya TV. There's a bunch of channels out there that I was looking at. So is there anyone else that you like or recommend?
Well, actually, the reason why I started to watch YouTube a lot was for like studying English. So
Ah, okay,
I,
okay, okay.
I never watch Japanese videos
Okay.
like now. So what
Oh,
I've been watching, like from the beginning, I've been watching I Justine. I don't know if you know her.
I think I've heard of. I think I've heard of.
Like she's a blonde girl and
Mhm,
now living in California, and she's in a good relationship with her sister and things like that. And
mhm.
it's just beautiful. So I watch her and I
Okay.
used to her English. And I also recently I started to watch Just Kidding News,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
yeah, they are funny people, but like I believe the majority of them are like Asian blooded, and it's very interesting to hear their perspective because they talk about the like news, you
Yeah.
know, like controversial things, and
Okay.
uh, yeah,
Those
that's
are
where I learn English and American culture.
cool. That's good. It's good to know the background. So, I guess the next question on politics is what made you support Jiminto, since that's what your videos are mainly about.
Yeah, first of all, I became a huge fan of Shinzo Abe, our prime minister, in 2012,
Hmm.
because first of all, I like when I was in college, I was studying English, right? So in class, I had to do some debate, and even though I wasn't interested in politics at that time at all, we had to um, look through some the news at the time, and we would just grab any articles that we thought that would be a good debate material.
Hmm.
So we would talk about like at the time it was like Koizumi regime, and where the people from that were abducted by North
Yes.
Korea came
Hmm.
back,
Hmm.
and so at that time I knew of like Shinzo Abe, and also he became the prime minister, and there like he had some massive problems like one after another. Even though I was not interested in politics, I could tell that it was not his fault, and it was all from the past, you know. So then
Yeah.
I had like a sympathy for him.
Hmm.
And in 2012, I started to read about him, and I realized like how amazing he is. So
Okay.
I, yeah, that was the beginning. But right now, do support Abe administration, but
Mhm.
I'm just supporting him and his cabinet, and I am not a fan of the like Jiminto, the
Oh,
party.
okay, okay. So
Yeah, and
you're more a fan of Abe than the party. Uh,
yeah, and
so
I do support some other party actually.
okay, no, that's fine. I know there's a number of political parties. It's not just Jiminto and
Yeah,
the other uh, the Minshuto. There's a few parties, but
yeah.
um, before we get into that, what do you think of the job that Abe has done? What do you think about Abe for the last few years? How is
He's been, well, it's not the best, but he's been doing what we had been missing on.
he? Hmm.
So like you know the economy has gotten better, even though the tax thing, this tax issue
Hmm.
is a problem still, but he's been trying to do all the things that we are supposed to do as a nation,
Hmm.
like a common sense level. And but I see him struggling because the previous regime has destroyed many things, and it's so hard to you know make it like bring everything back to normal. So
Can you give me an example? Like when you say he's doing things that um, we you need to do as a nation.
oh
What do you mean by that?
well, like militarily and also economically,
Hmm.
everything. I feel like things were minus, you know,
Hmm.
level.
Yeah.
So like we don't even have a military,
Sure.
and
Sure. Sure.
also it's a like I guess self-defense force is okay kind of, but still like our the members of the self-defense force, their lives are not perfectly protected because of the fault of all the laws that are not perfect.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
like he's been trying to fix everything, but he
Yeah.
has a lot of enemies, so it's getting.
Yes. I've been following it in the media, and there's always controversy about the military and the Constitution. But I I think my impression is things are looking up now. I mean, after the election, Jiminto did pretty well. How do you feel about the election results?
It's good that now we have the revision of the constitution in sight, and that's very good. But we also have to realize that the government party consists of Jiminto and Komeito. So it's like the reason why I'm a huge fan of Prime Minister Abe is he is a true conservative and he's very sophisticated and stuff, but he's a master of compromise and he knows when to and how to compromise. But because he's good at it, he has been compromising a little too much lately.
Sure.
And, and now Jiminto won the election widely, but it's because of Komeito. So now he has to listen to Komeito even more and things like that. And also, the party that I support is called Nippon no Kokoro o Taisetsu ni Suru to. Like, it's a long name, but
that is it's a mouthful.
Yeah, but the leader is Kyoko Nakayama Abe. She resigned after the election, but that's because we couldn't get a seat. So we still have 3 national diet members, but still we couldn't get a new seat. So that means that we are supposed to pull Jiminto to the right direction from outside.
I see.
Of the government party, but now we kind of lost the.
So for people who might not know, this party is, I guess, to the right of Jiminto. I guess somewhat like in the UK with Brexit, you have the Conservative Party, and then you have UKIP, which is much smaller. UKIP, the British more nationalist right-wing party, and so what you're saying with Abe is they have to compromise Jiminto with some of these other parties. And so the question is now, is it the case that there's a clear 2/3 majority that is willing to change the constitution? Does Abe have the support to do that now?
I haven't been able to catch up with everything because I was actually helping one specific candidate locally.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but I do hear that like all the time from the news, but I'm not sure like if he can really do it because still like living in Japan, I realized that people are not they don't know anything at all. So
people don't know anything about the election or about politics, you mean?
In politics in general.
Well, yeah, that may be true. I've gotten the sense that people can be kind of apathetic about politics, but on an issue as important as the Constitution, you would hope people would be more interested, which actually segues well into my next question. So you mentioned doing some support for a candidate. Now that the election is over, are you still doing political work? Are you still working with candidates?
As for candidates, I'm not sure because we don't even know if the party will exist after this. Like, I don't know what they will do to the party. But as for my personal activities, I know that I will be involved in politics.
Okay. And for people who don't know, which candidate were you supporting and working with in Fukuoka?
Yeah, in Fukuoka, and his name is Hidetoshi Ishii.
And how did he do?
Not bad, but it was. Well, we knew that we couldn't win, but since the party's name wasn't known at all, like through the entire Japan, we were hoping that by going on the election campaign, like like the media will always broadcast or report, so our names would be there on the media. So that's one of the reasons why we went for it. And also we wanted to get more votes in Hide. I don't know how to say that in English, like not locally, but the entirely in Japan.
Okay.
So
That's fine. That's good. Yeah, and of course, if you need to use Japanese for anything, that's fine. We can just translate it.
okay.
So it's also on politics with the last election. I believe was the first time that 18 and 19-year-olds were allowed to vote. What do you think about that?
That's that. I was actually against the idea of the bringing down the voting age.
Sure.
Because in Japan things are a little bit different. Like the people around that age are still like, how do you say, they still live with their parents, or they are not financially independent.
Yeah.
And also, like, the juvenile act, the laws, like they are treated around that age, they are still a teenager and not an adult. And so
adult
like
20, right? You become an adult when you're 20, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's, to me, it's like there are many other examples as well, but my point is that it's weird to me that they brought down the voting age only, and they forgot about all the other things. Like they are not treated as adults.
Yeah.
Regarded as adults, but they can only vote. So that doesn't make sense. And to me, that's just a lazy attitude of politicians.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is good because now that the voting age is controversial, people started to be more interested in politics, and the people talk about it a lot. And also the percentage, the voting rate of that around that age was actually good. Like we don't know the specific numbers yet, but that's just what they say for now. And I think that's a good sign that it's like the beginning of a big change, I think so.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. I heard, and what you say about not changing the other rights is there's a similar argument made in the United States about 18-year-olds being old enough to be drafted, but not being able to buy alcohol. It seems a little strange to pick an arbitrary age for one thing and not something else. Although I did read in a news article that the younger voters were skewing toward JapanToday, which is surprising people, that the younger voters would be somewhat more conservative. But anyway, I'm not 100% certain of the demographics there. Kind of switching gears a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about the sort of the political theme of your videos. And you talk a little bit in some of your English videos about nationalism. And that's very interesting to me. I talked about this in my last article about globalism and nationalism, and how that seems to be more of the divide today than just conservative versus liberal, right wing versus left wing. It's more nationalism versus globalism. And so, what is nationalism? Why is nationalism something that is good for Japan, in your opinion?
I think that like for like I'm a Japanese, and when I hear globalism, it's a matter of like Western culture. And what I believe in, I don't know if this is true, but like living in Japan, I feel that my nation has been like a nationalist nation all along. And even though we had interaction with other countries like since the ancient times, and we brought other cultures and other materials and things like that, we were still like, we had our own society, our own communities, like locally. And also we were living in a huge family system, where we could carry on the wisdom and education and morality and all that kind of stuff. And we would use shrine as like a community center, I would say. Like people get together and interact and things like that. But we had that until we lost the war in the World War II. And until then we had our own like a sense of a nation, and
Hmm.
we were nationalistic. But then we lost the war, and then the communist agenda came in, and they like communists want everybody to be equal and things like that, and they destroyed our family system and everything.
Sure.
So yeah, so to me it's like the globalism or globalist idea came in only after we lost the war, which is like 7 decades ago. So
Hmm.
why do we give up what we had, like our tradition, which lasted for over 2,600, like it's actually 76 years, but
Yeah, that's quite a
for
while.
yeah, like nearly 3,000 years, and why do we have to change for what has never ever worked
Hmm.
like anywhere in this world,
Sure,
So
sure,
yeah,
sure, sure.
that's why it's important, I think.
Oh, that's a fine answer, and I think there's a lot of controversy today about the idea of nationalism. If you look at what's happening in Europe, if you look at the rise of Trump, Trump is very much uh,
Yeah.
a nationalist kind of nativist sort of politician. So I guess
Mm.
that kind of explains some of your affection for him. We'll talk a little bit about Trump in a bit, um, but getting back to Japan, I guess from the nationalist perspective, what do you think are some of Japan's biggest political and social problems? What are some things that you worry about?
There are so many things, but people are passive, and also they people don't think about anything, I feel.
Okay.
That's just sums up everything, I feel. That
Okay.
yeah, we're not interested in politics, and we don't think about the foods that we eat
Mm,
and how the society system like circulates and stuff. And
okay.
that is very problematic. Yeah.
So you think people are too passive?
Hmm.
Okay. And there are some specific problems that I guess I could ask your opinion on. Maybe it's related to people being too passive. For example, the low birth rate. That's something that's constantly in the news. Do you think that's related, or what are your thoughts on that?
Uh, well, as for that, it's rather an economical issue, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because like people want to have babies, but they just can't, or they are not confident that they can do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I think yeah, there's some other domestic issues I'd want to get your
Mm.
opinion on, but let's keep moving on to some more topical issues. Um, in the news recently, it's kind of the elephant in the room. Everyone's been seeing it all about terrorism, and
Yeah.
there've been a lot of shootings in the United States recently. But
Mm.
in fact, just yesterday there was also some sort of attack in Germany. I heard about an axe attack, but there was
Oh.
also there was an attack in Orlando a few weeks ago, a shooting at a club, and
Mhm.
an attack in France. You know, what are your thoughts on what are your thoughts on terrorism and on these issues in Europe?
What I've been realizing is that, well, what was weird to me recently was the news in France. Like,
Hmm.
the very first thing I heard was the word terrorism, but
Hmm.
to me, it was just a truck like running people over or something like that.
Sure.
And I couldn't tell if it was a terrorism or not, but I just sense it that the media wants it to be terrorism,
Hmm.
and that's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's some evidence for it, but
okay.
it's an unconventional
Mhm.
attack. It's not a bombing or a shooting.
Mhm.
There was
Yeah.
reportedly some uh, training manual or magazine
Mhm.
where ISIS talked about using
Mhm.
trucks for attacks. So
Okay.
there's
Mhm.
some evidence that it's an ISIS
Mhm.
incident,
Yeah.
but it may
Mhm.
perhaps not fully confirmed.
I see.
I guess the bigger question I would ask is, do you worry about terrorism in Japan? I mean, how does it relate to things like immigration and security?
Uh-huh.
Is it something you worry about for your country?
Yes, I do. Like, like we have like nearly it might be like nearly 1,000 people, but we're not sure. But there's so many people from Japan that were abducted by North Korea
Right.
during the 60s or 70s or even today.
Hmm.
And that just, and also we don't have laws like even to arrest the spies inside of Japan and stuff like.
Hmm.
And so what we often talk about is the lack of all these laws to protect ourselves,
Hmm.
and we don't have that. And in addition to that, the reason why I talked about Japanese people being passive was because they just think that we're living in a peaceful nation. Like of course Japanese crime rate is low compared to other nations and stuff, but that is because somebody is protecting us. But because people are passive, we don't think about it, and we don't think about it, and that's why we can't become passive, and that's like all the bad circulation. And
Okay.
yeah.
I think I see. I think I see where you're coming from. So um, that actually does also lead well into my next question. You worry about people being passive and people protecting Japan. What
Mm.
about you? I mean, have you ever thought about becoming a politician? Do you have any kind of future goal in that direction?
I get I get asked that a lot actually, but I don't think I will ever become a politician because politician I don't know, because I have many. I'm not full of myself, but people tell me that I'm talented at many things,
Okay.
and I enjoy music, and I also draw. Like I like art,
Okay.
and yeah, and I'm also interested in like a motivational speakers,
Hmm.
and so like I have many outlets. So if I
Okay.
become a politician and do one job or one type of a job,
Hmm.
I feel like I'm wasting all the things that I could be doing. So I'll try and be influential at like other places and
Okay.
support politics.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, I'm starting to hear my voice there. So something weird happened with the audio there for a second.
Oh,
Uh, no, I think it's okay. All right, that's fine. So let's talk a little bit about Trump because that's what led me to discover your channel.
yeah.
Um, simply, why exactly do you like Trump so much?
Well, I have two reasons. One, because he's just, to me, he looks like a savior of the
Okay.
world. Like he hasn't even become a president yet, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that if he will,
Hmm.
but like he has created all this uh, debates. Like we started to pay attention to the things, or we started to talk about the new things that we didn't talk about before, thanks to him.
Hmm.
And because Trump came around inside of Japan, like we are talking about if like we might be militarily independent from America or something like that, and that has never been realistic
Hmm.
before. But now we can actually we can finally think about it thanks to him. And so like he's waking up all the people in the world, I feel, and that's one reason. And another is because we America is the country that Japan fought against, and people tend to think that oh, we fought against America, so that therefore America is a bad country or some sort.
Sure.
But how I see the history is the same as today. Like there's a candidate Trump, but there's another candidate Hillary, and people have different thoughts of opinion.
Hmm.
So like I feel that in order to bring peace to the world, we need to realize
Hmm.
that there are many kinds of people with different kinds of ideas. And so we should have borders, but still we should understand that we have allies in like different nations.
Okay.
So we need to cooperate together there.
I
So
see.
yeah, Trump would be a good leader for that.
Okay. Yeah, it's sort of the good fences, good neighbors idea. Have borders, but have allies. I guess
Mhm.
some logic to that. I guess so. What I would want to ask then is, what kind of reaction have you gotten in Japan or online from your Trump videos?
In
Your
Japan.
English, yeah, in Japan and online. What's the reaction you've seen to your videos?
Well, in Japan, media people reacted a little bit, like the TV stations. Some of them contacted me, and I did get on like one or two programs, and also
Cool.
I got on a magazine and also newspaper too, I think. So because the reason why is because nobody has done that before. Like there are many people that can speak English, but they have never been nationalistic. If you speak English in Japan, that's very rare. But those people can speak English because they're influenced by Western cultures.
Sure.
So they're not going to be nationalistic. So people are finding the combination very unique. So that's one of the reasons that I got the exposure. But as for online, I'm overwhelmed that American people, or especially American people, but even like other people from other nations, they have been sending me messages and watching my videos, and the audience is growing. And yeah, it's been overwhelming for me, but I'm just thankful for that.
Okay, very cool. And I guess I just have to ask, how did you learn English? I mean, you're right. Not a lot of Japanese people are great at it. What was your secret?
Well, I call myself a musician, and I simply fell in love with the sound of American English, I would say. So, well, the first reason was because when I was 15, Japan is a entrance examination. So I was in a cram school, and I had to study a lot for the entrance exam of high school. And there I met this very funny English teacher, and my grade back then was really awful. Like only English was terrible, but his class was fun, so I started to pay attention, and I also had the desire to be better at English, so I started to take English seriously and study hard. And then I fell in love with the sounds of American English, so I started to go. That's when internet grew actually. So like the broadband came around and stuff. So I started to chat with people, and also MySpace came around and YouTube came, and so I had all the studying materials. So I basically learned things online by myself, like with a cooperation with people from overseas. And I also did major in English in college. So
that's pretty impressive. Are you planning to do more English videos?
Yes.
Okay. And so on what topic? I mean, what kind of things do you want to tell people?
Oh, well, I think politics would be the main thing that I would say. But I also want to. I used to be depressed before. I had a huge depression when I was younger. So but now I don't have it, and I have many tips, and also I am. People tell me that when they hang out with me, they get motivated, or their burdens disappeared or something like that. So I feel like I should grow that talent. So I might be working out for the world for that too.
Motivational speaking.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that.
Okay, well, I think you can probably learn a lot from Trump in that regard.
Yeah.
He used to be good at motivating people in one way or the other. But so that's pretty much it for the interview. Do you have any other comments you want to add, or follow up, or questions for me?
I think that I would say that we need to, like, the people in the world have to, like, including Japan, need to realize that we do have information, but it's all chaotic. And we feel like because we have so much information, we feel like we know everything, but we don't know the people, and we don't know like specific information. So we need to realize that we are not. We need to realize we are kind of ignorant. We don't know anything, so we need to be modest and don't jump to the conclusion quickly, and
Mm-hmm.
learn about each other and things like that. That will bring peace to the world, I believe.
Okay, that's good. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the broadcast. Hold on one second here.
Okay.
Okay, stop